Well, hello and welcome back to Blue Yonder Moto. I'm Alan. If you're a returning viewer, thank you very much. And if you're a new viewer, first time you've seen us, I hope you enjoy the video. Also, take a look at some of the other videos in the back catalogue. I think you'll probably enjoy those too if you like this one. Okay, so let's talk about this, the Hornet 1000SP. Now, when the bike was launched, she was launched to quite a fanfare, wasn't she? You know, they flew out all the great and the good to Spain, and, you know, they rode the bike and they were fulsome in their praise for the bike. When the bikes hit these shores, Great Britain, in January 2025, when people started buying them, the reality of living with these bikes didn't quite match up to that fulsome praise, and there are a number of criticisms which obviously don't show in these sort of lovely rides where they're wined and dined and they're running on perfect roads in perfect conditions. When you're running in these sort of conditions where it's cool, the roads are very bumpy, there's lots of traffic, and you can't really explore the upper reaches of the bike. The other things, the niggly things, they shine through, and they become far more obvious than they are when they're out on these launches. So that's kind of a bit of a warning, isn't it? Not to take everything that you hear on these glitzy bike launches as gospel, because the day-to-day truth of living with the bike is usually totally different. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into what I think are 5 things that Honda can do, not necessarily to fix the Hornet SP, because it doesn't really need fixing, but to improve it and to sort of get rid of all that sort of negative noise that is circulating around the forums and the internet about the bike. So as I say, without further ado, let's get into it, and let's talk about the first thing. The first thing that they can do with this bike to improve it, in my opinion, is give us a choice of colours. I mean, the bike is only offered in this sort of, they call it black, but it's really a dark metallic graphite-y sort of matte finish grey. And to be honest, if there'd been a choice of a gloss black, I would have much preferred it. So at least 2 or 3 alternatives to this would be really nice, and maybe in 2026 Honda will offer us that, because as I say, it needs it. As I say, gloss black with the gold forks and the gold wheels would just look absolutely delicious in my opinion. Also, Honda Racing Red, and something that looks a little bit like, if you can remember, those of you who are racing aficionados, the Honda Britain racing colours from the 80s and the 90s, which just looked absolutely superb. Really nice red. So let's have that and a nice black, and maybe even a traditional red, white and blue, Honda red, white and blue. That would look fantastic too, wouldn't it? So as I say, a big miss is the lack of colour options. It's bizarre that they give you colour options on the base model, but not on the alleged premium model. So it kind of, to me, it's a missed marketing opportunity. But the second opportunity to improve the bike is, for me, is to create a bit of a greater differentiation between the standard bike and this, the SP. Yes, there already is a little bit of differentiation in so much as you've got the Öhlins TTX shock there, which is a good shock, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and I'll come on to that again in a few seconds, but it's not perfect, but it is a bit of an upgrade on the shock that's on the standard bike. And of course you've got the Brembo calipers, but for me that's just a gilding of the lily as the calipers, because I don't think there's anything wrong with the brakes on the standard bike. I'm sure they're pretty damn good, and you know, it's great having calipers, but we've got rubber hoses, for God's sake. And if you're going to put Brembo calipers on the front of this bike, which are superb calipers, why don't you put braided brake lines on rather than rubber? For God's sake, you know, to me, that just shows that essentially they've sort of done a deal with Brembo, and they've put these on because it looks good. It is. It's just trimmings, really. It's not something that makes a significant difference in the real world. So if you're going to do that, let's have some braided brake lines, and maybe even maybe even a radial master cylinder rather than this bog standard thing that we got here. Because at the moment, as I say, to me, that caliper, it's a waste of space. It's a wasted cost that could actually be improved tremendously with a little bit of extra investment. And I think most buyers would prefer to have, to pay maybe £500–600 more and have those braided brake lines and a proper master cylinder. So to me, that is another missed opportunity. Let's make these parts that are, really good even better. And the other thing as well, going back to the Öhlings TTX, it's set up far too hard and firm for British roads when it comes out of the crate. And yes, you can fine-tune it, and I have fine-tuned mine. And as a consequence, it now rides reasonably well. But this is a bumpy road surface, and the bike jiggles and bounces along. It's not great. You do expect better from the components that are on the bike. So as I say, the TTX shock, it really does need to be set up a little bit more compromised, a little bit softer. And if you want to firm it up for the track, then firm it up for the track. But most of us don't actually ride on pristine, perfect roads and on the track. We need it for the road. It's marketed as a road bike. So let's have it a little bit more compliant, please, Honda, in 2026 from the crate, and not leave it to the owners to actually get the bike set up as it should be when it comes out the dealership. Now, the next improvement for 2026 that I'd like to see is the option of cruise control. Now, it doesn't have to be an all singing, all dancing cruise control. It could be just a simple push button stop-start cruise control, like you've got, for example, on the Triumph Trident. So similar sort of price, in fact cheaper. It's what, £8,000, and the Daytona, that's again about £9,000, so the same sort of price as the standard Hornet. They've both got that option. In fact, I think on the Trident it's fitted as standard now, isn't it? So why haven't these bikes got it? It really is a big miss, because it is such a useful function. So improvement 3, give us cruise control. Now, something that probably is a fix is the seat on this bike. Again, it's come in for a lot of criticism, and I think probably rightly so. The seat is extremely firm, and it does take a lot of adjusting to. Now, I think it's one of these things, the more you ride it, the better it gets, and certainly that's my experience. Now, I haven't got a young, firm buttock to bottom to actually plonk on this seat. I'm a flabby 60-something. So if I can get away with it, there's no excuse for younger riders. But you shouldn't have to adapt to the seat. The seat should be good from the get-go, and it isn't. It's a cheap effort, and it's an example, I think, probably, of the cost-cutting that Honda have done. Now, the next fixed stroke improvement that Honda need to do is with the quick shifter. Let's just have a look at the quick shifter in action, shall we? So we're now in third and we're doing 4,000. So I'll just accelerate and shift up. 1, 2, 3. Not too bad. It's not silky smooth, but it's acceptable. The problem is on the downshifts. On the downshifts, what I've found is that you just need a little whiff of clutch like I did there. And to me, that's instinctive anyway. That's how I tend to ride. So for me, it's not so much of an issue. So as you saw there, the quick shifter, it's not the best. Going up through the revs, going up through the box and at high revs, particularly when you're pressing it on, it's pretty good. But it's on the downshifts where it's not so good. Now again, with use, that has improved, and also probably improved because I've gone through the TFT and the settings on the TFT and improved it. As I say, it's particularly poor on downshifts. And if I compare and contrast it with the quick shifter that was on my Triumph Trident, the Triumph version, up and down the box is silky smooth, whereas this, it's not. It's, as I say, it's not too bad going up through the box. It's pretty good, and particularly at higher revs. But it's on those downshifts when you try to ride in a sporty manner, quicker. It's really poor. It's really poor, and that's even with all the adjustments. So that's why I tend to, on the downshifts, use a whiff of clutch. So there you are. Those for me are the main improvements that I would like to see Honda make in 2026 to the Hornet SP, to turn it from a very good bike to an excellent bike, because it's got that potential. The engine is just superb, and once you've tweaked the suspension and you're on a decent road, the handling is fantastic. And again, it's like a lot of these sporty bikes, the faster you ride it, the better it is. But those niggles spoil the bike and spoil the experience. Now I'm just going to throw something in here. It's not the 5 flaws that need addressing, it's something else. And I think it's a trick that Honda are missing, and I think it's something that the bike buying public would actually lap up. And that's, let's have a Hornet 1000SP RR. Now of course this Hornet, the engine, it comes from the 5-blade, doesn't it? And that 2017 5-blade, which is the donor engine for this bike, that developed 189 horsepower. So it's not beyond the wit of Honda to actually develop an engine, or redevelop an engine if you like, for an RR version of the Hornet that develops at least 170, 175 and not lose that real world rideability. And with the RR, they could dispense with this rather plain and boring TFT, put something much nicer on that could throw the whole panoply of electronics which is in their arsenal at the bike. So all the things that are moans by the motorcycling great and good about it not having 6-axis IMUs, not having variable wheelie control, etc., etc., they could all be addressed, because let's face it, cost wouldn't be an issue. And as I say, I think it's something that the biking public would really like. I know certainly it'd be something that I was interested in if Honda produced that. And also you could give it a really fancy paint job. How about something like, if you remember, the Rothmans racing liveries from the late 80s, early 90s, those bikes just looked absolutely lush. And can you imagine an RR version of this in the Rothmans colours? Oh, yes please. Well, okay, I hope you found that interesting. And if you are a Hornet owner and you agree or violently disagree with any of the improvements or comments that I've made, put them down in the comments below. And again, if you've got any suggestions to what you would like to see Honda do, again, put them down in the comments below. So, okay, until the next time, I've been Alan. Thank you very much for watching. If you're not already a subscriber, please remember, subscribe. It's completely free, doesn't cost you anything, no obligation. And if you've liked the video, please give it a like. All these things help the algorithm. So, as I say, until the next time, I've been Alan. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.